Hello and welcome to All Things Rift, Episode 7. Today I'm looking at some news in the upcoming patch 1.2, but first I want to talk about something I don't normally talk about, which is what's going on with this channel. First off, I'm on Twitter. You can find me there at MMORPGs and Stuff. And speaking of MMORPGs and Stuff, you may notice that the name of my channel has been changed from FlyMolo's channel to MMORPGs and Stuff. Now, the reason for this is that I'm looking ahead to the future, and I do not intend to cover Rift exclusively. I do intend to continue doing weekly episodes of All Things Rift for the long term. Now, once I'm done with the leveling guides later this year, I'll be ready to do a lot more all things and not just cover news and quests. Now, because my focus is leveling, I've not been able to focus on raiding, PvP, or professions, and have even been a bit behind regarding invasions and events, and this will change once the Defiant and Guardian guides are complete. Now, in the short term, this is what you can expect. More news coverage, of course, video coverage of some of the zone events. I'll be posting a video of my DPS Rogue spec next week. Now, this spec is designed for max damage, and I've really loved leveling with it. In 2 or 3 weeks, I'll be releasing a Cleric spec video. This spec is designed to be both a main healer in groups, plus allow you to solo through content as needed. Now, in 3 weeks, I plan on doing another World of Warcraft add-on video focused on the add-on Carbonite. Later this year, I'll be starting a series tentatively titled What's It All About?, where I'll be taking a look at different MMORPGs and giving in-depth reviews. Now, this will not be your typical 5-minute review where I play through the first few levels and then tell you what I think. This is going to be in-depth discussion about gameplay, game mechanics, leveling, teaming, and it will not be confined to just the first few levels of experience. The purpose is to give my viewers something that I think is really lacking, an actual true look at what you can expect from a game if you start to play it, rather than a review of what you'll experience in your first 15 minutes of the game, which I think we all know is rather useless. Now, it's important for me to stress that Rift is still going to be my primary focus for the foreseeable future. Currently, I'm spending most of my time working on my leveling guides. Now, when both of the guides are complete, which will likely be in August, much of the time I'm spending on guides will be diverted to joining a guild and fleshing out all aspects of the game Rift, and I'll have several hours per week in which I can focus on gaming in general. And at that time, you'll see the videos here at MMORPGs and Stuff increase from around 4 per month to 2 or 3 per week. So if you have not yet subscribed, please do so, and if you have subscribed and you're not all that into Rift, stick around with me because there's a lot more planned for this channel later this year. Now, one more note on the leveling guides. You're actually looking at one of the pages of my leveling guide. The Defiant guide is set to be released in about 2 weeks. If you're interested in testing the Defiant leveling guide, please send me a private message telling me just a bit about yourself and include your valid email address. Now, I'll be offering probably around 5 people free access to the entire guide in exchange for honest feedback about what they like and don't like, which will really help me out. It'll be invaluable information as I begin writing the Guardian guide in June. And on to the news. Patch 1.2 is about to drop, and it looks like the date is May 10th. Now, I'm looking here at gamingunion.net for the info on the patch. Now, I could get this from any number of sources, including the forums, but Gaming Union just looks prettier than the forums. So, now in this patch, we get lots of shiny new stuff. Facebook integration is coming for all you socialites out there. Looking for group tool, which is currently confined to shard-wide tool and not worldwide. This is coming. A wardrobe option for quickly swapping gear. New ascended powers for finding slivers, which we don't really know a lot about except that it is a method used to enter raids. And by popular demand, we have a 5th role. Now, I gotta be honest, I'm not really thrilled about this one. I think 4 roles is more than enough, and I think there ought to be some motivation within the game to level multiple characters. Now, I could foresee a future where everyone has 10 roles available, making the task of raising extra characters or even having a variety of players of the same class in your guild a little bit pointless. But, that's just my opinion, and evidently there's a lot of people out there who disagree. Now, we are also getting some UI updates to an already fantastic UI, so that's awesome. We're getting a new instance, we're getting new dynamic content. Overall, it appears that Trion is doing a great job of adding more and more content and stuff to do in their game, which should keep Rift alive and well for a long time to come. Now, over at PCGamer.com, Jonathan H. Cooper did an interview with Scott Hartzman where they talk about live events, particularly as they relate to the River of Souls event from patch 1.1. Now, I've been following this closely. I experienced the first event firsthand and have followed news and forums about the events, and I have to say I'm really concerned about the lessons that Trion took away from the River of Souls. In this article, Cooper starts with this statement: Rift's first world event was a bust. Now, this seems to be the sentiment of most Rift players. Personally, I really disagree. Now, what defines a bust? If you throw a party, you would say it was a bust if nobody showed up. You might say it was a bust if everyone left after the first 30 minutes. But you would have clearly definable reasons for calling it a bust. The River of Souls event maxed out every server on the realms, so in terms of interest level, it was not a bust. We have no measuring stick with which to say if people had fun or not because the event was over in 30 minutes, so it's not like people just left. Now, there were an awful lot of complainers after the fact, but I don't think that's a good measuring stick either, since people who want to complain will immediately hop on the forums to do so, and people who had a good time don't have the same level of motivation to express themselves. Now, I, for one, loved the event. Were there problems? Yes. Were there things that need to be fixed or modified? Absolutely. But from everything I've read, Trion appears to be scrapping the one-time massive world event model altogether, and that really bothers me. In this article, Scott talks about the problems of having thousands of people standing in a 10-foot square. Now, I was there, on a PvP server no less, and I thought it was handled beautifully. Were there problems on other servers? Well, based on what I've heard, I'd have to say yes, there were big problems on other servers. But if they could fix those issues and give everyone the experience that I had, then I don't think this is really a problem. Some may not enjoy it as much as I did, but that is going to be the case with every aspect of your game and doesn't necessarily qualify as a problem. Scott also talks about time compression issues. He states, quote, "Having a big event that's going to take place over a single hour is really cool. If you can be there for that hour. If you're not there, it sucks. You missed it." Unquote. Again, I might be in the minority here, but I disagree. If you do a timed event once per month or so, it's difficult for me to believe that people are going to be outraged if they miss a couple of them. Trion has promoted Rift as a dynamic game where things happen in a dynamic fashion to change the world. This is an aspect of games that players have wanted for a long time. A common complaint about MMOs in general is that I go talk to that quest giver over there who sends me on a mission to kill Zorgmaster Zorgoth and save the world. So I get to Zorgoth's lair only to find that someone has already been there and killed him, and I have to wait for him to respawn so I can save the world from him again. And everyone else who ever plays the game will have to save the world from Zorgoth as well. And I'll save the world from Zorgoth 3 or 4 times on other characters later on. This is a storytelling limitation inherent in MMORPGs that inhibits immersion into the game world. Now, to me, dynamic timed events were a huge step forward to creating a living, breathing world. For Trion not to be able to foresee the massive amount of complaints coming from the people who missed their first event was short-sighted. To scrap timed events altogether, rather than offering more and allowing the idea to simmer with the player base and see what unfolds, is, in my opinion, a step backward. The other lesson Scott took from the River of Souls event, and again, I completely disagree, was that the best part of the event was Phase 1, where they told a story and added more rifts and invasions, which, by the way, appears to be exactly what they're doing again in the upcoming Spoils of War event. Now, invasions are cool. Rifts are cool. Coins falling from the sky, which we're about to see, that's cool. But this is not an event. This is the same stuff that's in Rift already, just more of it, with coins. It's not an event. It's not exciting. Personally, I'm concerned that Trion took all the wrong messages from the River of Souls, and rather than sticking with their vision of what dynamic content looked like and fixing the problems within their established model, they're on a mission to appease the Rift population by scrapping it all together and doing more of what they think has worked best in their game. And you know what? Maybe they're right. Maybe their current approach is the correct one, but if it was me, I wouldn't assume that extra rifts are what will ultimately define this game, and I'd be looking at figuring out how to accommodate more people to give them the opportunity to experience and enjoy really unique events that they don't get from other games. End rant. Over at GamePro.com, Julian Rignall also has an interview with Scott Hartzman, who evidently has found a way to clone himself so he can be everywhere in the world at once and still be the driving force behind Rift. The highlight for me in this interview was on page 2, where Scott talks about the way they balance war fronts by buffing lower-level characters. He also talks about how the queuing system takes into consideration the group balance and the number of people available before it puts you in a war front. He says, quote, "If you queue with a fully balanced group of 5, the system's going to try to find you a fully balanced group of 5 to fight against before it starts seeding the rest of the team." Now, he also mentions that they want raid queuing to be equally advanced before they actually put it into the game. Now, this is an area that I think Trion is far superior to its competitors. The more I learn about Trion's technology and the things they do behind the scenes to make the experience fun for the players, the more I believe that in a couple of years, Rift really could be the crown jewel of the MMO world. Now, of course, this is all contingent on how many people continue to play Rift in the short term, but so far, the indications are that we still have a very healthy population, which already puts Rift far ahead of many recent releases. Now, this is actually a long article and worth the read, so I recommend heading over to GamePro.com and checking it out. And finally, I just want to make mention of Susie Ford's article over at MMORPG.com about the upcoming Spoils of War event. If you want a few details on the content of this event, including the Skyborn coins, head over there and check out Susie's article. And that's it for episode 7 of All Things Rift. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.